with brake. Now this is a very, very simple routine, but on the ground and then going flying, seeing if it needs modification. Coming up for the opposition part.
There'll be a closing scene that displays very much audience participation, so you'll get a chance to get some exercise this afternoon waiting back in them. Those wing-walking suits are covered with hundreds of diamantes. They're definitely sparkling in the sunshine this afternoon.
You're only jealous because you're good.
Those eagle-eyed people can see that the wing-walkers are now inverted. Another world first. This is the only world rig which allows the girls to swivel. And back they go the right way up. That incredible noise you can hear is 450 horsepower of Pratt & Whitney engine, and the tips of the propeller go supersonic, creating that very distinctive rasping noise. So these are American biplanes. The Stearman aircraft was used as a primary training aircraft in the Second World War, before pilots then went on to fly bigger aircraft and perhaps then onto the P-51 Mustang that we saw earlier. This aircraft, these two aircraft are now on their third life. They finished training pilots after the war. The front cockpit was then turned into a hopper, which allowed them to be filled full of crop spraying liquid. The engines were swapped out for these bigger engines from a 220 horsepower to 450 horsepower, and they have their second life as crop dusting aircraft all across America, looking after farms. And then Vic Norman, who runs the AeroSuperBatics team, started buying Stearman aircraft, having seen them in America, doing amazing wing-walking displays out there, and brought the first aircraft over, which actually is the blue one that you see today. That's his original aircraft. Fitted the wing-walking harnesses, which are attached to the top wing of the aircraft and actually sit above the fuel tank. And now the aircraft are enjoying their third life as show ponies, displaying across the UK, all across Europe, and they've also taken the aircraft over to China, Australia, as well as many, many other countries across the world.
Just before the group comes in here for their first pass, we would very much like to welcome John Farrington today here to the Midlands Air Festival. 110th birthday on Wednesday the 7th of June. He is the second oldest man in the UK and the oldest man in Warwickshire. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen, for John.
So these two still are now diving. We'll talk about G in a little while, but imagine that you weigh 4 times more than you do at this moment in time. Any minute now, those girls are going to be subjected to 4 times their weight, pushing them down onto that top wing as the aircraft perform a beautiful formation loop with their very distinctive smoke trailing behind them.
Now, you're not just reading this and talking from a piece of paper. You have lived this.
I lived and breathed this for very many years.
So when did you start?
So I started wing-walking when I was 15 with my father, Barry Tempest, who, for those who know their aviation history, is quite a well-known display pilot. He was also part of the British aerobatic team in 1966 as well, flying stomp aircraft that you will see later on. So I persuaded my dad to let me have a go when I was 15, as I said, and we took off and landed from a site very similar to this in the grounds of the stately home at Weston Park. I thought that was a one-off. I met Vic Norman when I was 21, having had a few years flying the Tiger Moth aircraft, and spent the next 20 years flying with him. developed the swiveling ring that you can see being used beautifully. We also developed the cockpit climbing, which you'll see in a while, where you sit in the front seat and you undo your harness and you climb up onto the top wing before strapping yourself securely in.
Now, we wouldn't recommend this for most people, but I do believe in your final year of school, you were actually chastised for skiving off school and going and doing wing walking.
Well, they told me I could have a career working in an office, and I didn't believe them. So I followed my dream, took a few days off from school to wing walk, and unfortunately it was in the papers, so I couldn't really escape from that one. Now look at the beautiful photo formation. I spoke to Emma earlier, who's on that second aircraft underneath, and she can only see Kirsten's glove when they're flying that close. She has to make sure all of her manoeuvres, which are all synchronised, you saw them walking it through earlier, they're all synchronised, and she can just see the tip of a glove as it passes by her vision, and she's tucked right in underneath that second aircraft. The smoke is eco-friendly, so that when her head is in the smoke, she's breathing in sunshine as opposed to fumes.
And not diesel like you did.
Yeah, there was a lot of diesel around, but you also get to see, count the rivets on the bottom of the aircraft, and also see where the oil patches are that they need to clean up at the end of the day. The team, this is their full-time job. When they're not display flying, they are looking after guests. And you yourself can apply to join the team for a day at their beautiful airfield in the heart of the Cotswolds and have a go at this yourself. So diving towards you, this will be a good photo opportunity. You can see the girls swivel at a different angle, braking towards each other. That is a brand new manoeuvre for 2023.
One of the things, we are looking at this display, we're sitting here, there's a lovely little breeze blowing. Up there, they are doing this in a 200 km/h breeze.
It's a lot of hard work. I mean, the girls do a huge amount of training, they spend time in the gym. This is a full workout for them whilst they're up on the wing for a 12-minute display. They could be doing 3 displays, 4 displays a day. I think they said they've got a couple more displays today and they're going to sleep very well tonight.
They would have incredible body strength.
So when we had a certain sponsorship, that was called the Buckley Bump back in my day. So those outfits they're wearing, whilst they are very beautiful and sparkling with sunshine, are very thin lycra. They don't offer any protection at all. If it was not the beautiful day that we have in front of us and pouring with rain, they would still display and get soaking wet and then freezing cold. At the end of the display, they are departing off slot back to their home base, and they have no jackets to keep them warm, and they just have to hope that they've eaten enough lunch.
Huddle down out of the wind.
So you'll see their waving is very much coordinated. They practice. Tony, who's the engineer who's been with the team many, many years and keeps these engines purring beautifully, he's called upon to check their manoeuvres on the ground so that he can see if they're working together in perfect synchronisation. Both girls have a background in dance. Kirsten is a trapeze artist and Emma is a dancer, but they were both childhood friends. They both went to primary school together, and I can't think of a better way than spending your summer with your best friend, having all these amazing adventures. So coming back towards you, the girls are now inverted, so that means that all the G we were talking about is now going through their bodies into their heads. Negative G is not but you feel as if all your blood is being pushed down into your eyeballs, which is not very nice, but actually it feels so exciting. It's a major adrenaline rush, and it's a unique part of this team that you won't see anywhere else in the world.
It must be like the rush that's described when you leap out of a perfectly serviceable aeroplane.
Quite possibly, except skydiving is all about falling. This is more, I explain to people the difference is skydiving is falling, wingwalking is like being on a turbocharged magic carpet. So team leader Dave Barrell, who's been with the team about 15 years. Unfortunately, I never got the pleasure of flying with him, but if you cut him in half and split like a stick of rock, it would take all the way He's flown steerman for most of his adult life. He's also a fantastic engineer and car mechanic, and lives with his beautiful wife, Diana, in the Cotswolds, very close to the airfield.
That is a beautiful airfield there at Wrengham.
It's an original World War I airfield. It's stunning, and if you did want to sign up to be a wingwalker, that's where you would go. And it's 70 acres long, beautiful views.
We actually saw some film on the news in Australia of an older lady who wanted to go wing walking, and I was watching the TV, and there was the black shed, and I said, I've been there. Records with world firsts. I myself was part of the world record with the longest person up on the wing, which was then beaten by Roy Castle, who people might remember from Record Breakers. But they've also performed weddings up on the wing with the bride and groom and vicar up in the air. They have done a mirror formation where one aircraft lies upside down, the other formating closely underneath with wingwalkers holding hands and also passing batons. I believe you may have done that.
I have done that several times. And also was lucky enough to recreate wingwalking from the 1920s, walk out along the bottom wing, which was a beautiful, really cool thing to do. Tony the engineer painted little footmarks for me so I knew where to step, because you have to make sure you step on the rib of the wing and not the way through. And it's exactly the same as missing your mark when you climb up into your loft at home. You can step on the rafters, otherwise you end up going through the ceiling. Right.
However, the ceiling up there is just a wee bit higher.
Right, we're diving now. Get your cameras ready. Pulling up. 120 miles an hour. And rolling. Tell you how much fun they're having up there. It's so rare in the UK with the weather we have to have such perfect conditions.
We've certainly been very lucky yesterday and today here at the Midlands Air Festival.
Right, so you give them a wave as they come past, they absolutely can see you. I said this is audience participation, so it's a chance to get a little bit of exercise today as you wave back. So the pilots are now slowing the aircraft down, and the pilots will give the aircraft a little wiggle, a wing rock, and that is the signal for the girls to start the next part of this display. So if I got this right, they're now undoing their harnesses and changing position up on the wing to show you something very special. Make sure you've got your cameras ready.
Of course, this wing walking goes back to the barnstorming days. You can actually trace the history back to one guy called Locklear in 1918. Whatever possessed him to step outside his aeroplane at that time, flying by himself as well.
It's extraordinary. So the girls are now sitting on the top wing of the aircraft. They're sitting down, not quite having a rest. Give them a wave, everybody. Give them a wave as they come by. So this maneuver is called the extra harness, it doesn't stop them from falling, it just stops them from
departing the aeroplane.
landing with a bump, yes. But the harness is there to help them, but it does get in the way. So every time you move around the aircraft and they're not attached to it, you've got to make sure that that extra harness doesn't get hooked up anywhere. And part of the training they do is to go through all the safety measures to make sure that they're never stuck with the harness in the wrong place. Hours and hours practice in the hangar to make sure they get it right. So coming round again. And they have now climbed down and are behind the wing, waving as they go by. It's a beautiful view, you can see as them standing there. They're actually standing on an area just in front of the pilot's cockpit, which is half the size of a beer mat. So they need to make sure they keep a toe on that point, and they're holding on with one hand and waving to you, making it look so beautifully elegant and easy. Easy. It's the biggest thing that I hear from people who have a go, and they say you'd never be able to wave, it's too windy.
Yeah. And what are they doing up there?
Well, they're moving around and making it look incredibly graceful. They have these hand signals that they perform with the pilots because they can't talk to them. So again, part of their training is getting the hand signals right, making sure that pilot and wing walker are working in close harmony. So they will have moved again. Let's see where they are this time. Do please make sure that you all wave. Hands in the air, give them a wave as they go by. Training to showing off their flexibility. You can try this at home. You can stand on one leg and reach your other leg out behind you and grab it with a spare arm and see how high you can lift it. And then try doing that whilst you're up in the air with the aircraft bouncing around underneath you.
I think a very live jazz dancing 24-year-old would beat me hands down. I'm lucky to get out of the chair.
We can try some exercises later, Peter, and see how you get on. And again, they will have changed position, and yesterday they came by sitting on the side of the cockpit, looking incredibly elegant. Right, your last opportunity is probably to give them a really big wave, ladies and gentlemen. And boys and girls, arms in the air, waving away. They will love all of this attention. This is what they're here for. This is what makes these girls and pilots excited about getting up every year to perform at locations like this across the world. So yeah, Wingwalking dates back to the 1920s, where surplus aircraft were brought up, and then people used to pay money to go to flights, and in order to get the crowd coming back and excited for more, they would persuade their engineer or a